you record it. And if we have anybody on the Zoom, I think you need to ask them.
If they have any comments.
No, if we can upload their picture to the, I'm out of breath, sorry.
Okay.
They have to agree to be recorded and be.
If they're coming into the meeting, well, okay.
Yeah, because,
Permission to record, well, there's no way I can't record this meeting. I mean, if they're on here, they're going to get recorded.
I think you can just make a statement and ask if anybody comes in and say, this is going to be recorded, we'd like to post it to the website. Do I have your permission? Please raise your hand.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting the Hainesville Board order. It's a regular board meeting on December 5th, 2020 at 6:35 p.m. Please, let's see, please join me in the flag. And we'll follow this with the silent form of trustee Dan Moran. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Bless you, Dan.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Jerry Daly,
Here.
George and Georgianne aren't on. Okay, no George. Trustee Crease,
Here.
Oval, here. Darrenowski.
Roll call.
Sorry, I had myself on mute. Here.
And Chanel.
Here. Okay, we have this will be our first motion. When I call for it, please just don't click, but just raise your hand so someone could be the first, and then I'll call on someone second. All right, so we have a motion to agenda. Someone, Mary moves, second, John. Roll call.
Trustees Crease. Trustee Crease.
Aye.
He said.
Oh, see, I'm Koval. Aye. Darrenowski.
Aye.
And Chanel.
Explain in the meeting. Get a pen, write it down to you. We're already in session.
Thank you.
HTTPS colon forward slash.
It's on the agenda.
It's on. Do you have the agenda with you? Okay, it's on the 5 on the agenda. Okay, I got the meeting. Okay. Scott, you're up.
Thanks, Mayor. Good evening. I know everyone's navigating a lot of different challenges these days, and I hope you're all doing okay. So appreciate you taking the time for this audit recap tonight. And of course, we thank you all for engaging us to do the audit again. I definitely also have to thank Kelly for all the assistance that she and her staff put to getting ready for the engagement. Any audit takes a lot of effort, but in particular, having it happen in the midst of a pandemic while juggling all kinds of other things can be that much more challenging. So do appreciate all that, Kelly. Thanks again. As in previous years, we provide two main deliverables with the audit, the audited financial statements, and then a required communication to you all as the board on the results of the audit. Often we refer to this as the management letter. And I'll just briefly touch on the financial statements here first. Our audit opinion on the financial statements is what we refer to as an unmodified or clean opinion. So that's the best form of opinion that you can receive. And it means that we found the financial statements and all of the related disclosures to be fairly stated in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. It is important to note that there's this concept of reasonable assurance, which essentially means that an audit is designed to find material errors. And we do that using sampling and procedures that we design based on our understanding of your internal control structure. So the audit can't really be relied upon to provide absolute assurance of the accuracy of the financial statements because we don't test every transaction. We also don't provide an opinion on your internal control structure as part of the audit because to do either of those things would likely be cost prohibitive. So overall, the financial statement format for this year is consistent with the prior year. There were no significant new accounting standards that took effect for fiscal year 20. And that's thanks in part to a reprieve that GASB gave because of COVID. So just wanted to call that to your attention. If you've not already done so, I would definitely encourage you to read the management discussion and analysis on pages 4 through 13. This is a significant document, obviously, and those pages can be particularly helpful in understanding the results of the operations for the year. There's summarized comparative information along with narratives that management has put together to help the users understand the statements. In the interest of time, there's one specific item that I normally do point out anyway, but I think is particularly relevant in the current environment as everyone considers the impacts that COVID will have on budgets moving forward. And that's the general fund's fund balance position.
Scott, I think
unfortunately, yes.
I think I'm going to ask you to stop for a moment because the mayor stepped out, and I don't
no problem.
want to miss that.
Okay. Yep.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Mary, how's the store doing?
Busy.
Good.
This is our,
good.
yeah, 2 weeks before Christmas, so.
I had stopped. Scott, stop.
All right, I'm sorry, we're trying to get the Dubersteins on. Please, Scott, go ahead.
Yep, no problem. So I was just about to touch on the general fund's fund balance position and was noting that unfortunately it's really times like these where fund balance reserves become so critical. So if you look within the audit report, if you've got a PDF, that would be page 23 or page 16 if you're using a hard copy. Near the very bottom of the first column, you'll see that as of April 30th, 2020, the unassigned fund balance amount in the general fund was just for about $1.6 million over the prior year. But that $1.6 million represents about 83% of your 2020 expenditures in that fund. We look at the unassigned amount in particular because that's the portion that has no external or even internal constraints on use. So you can do with that as you so choose, essentially. For additional context on that, when I said that 83% on the fund's expenditures, that would put the village at just over 9 months worth of expenditures. And there is a best practice recommendation from the Government Finance Officers Association that ratio be kept at 2 months, sort of as a bare minimum. So you've certainly managed within those parameters, given that you're, just roughly over 9 months worth there. So just wanted to call that to your attention. Another item that I'll point out within the financial statements is the net pension liability from IMRF. Pensions do remain a significant point of emphasis for all governments. Fortunately, in the village's case, I think the impact is less significant because you're relatively high IMRF, and you do have fewer participants in the plan than some others. So at April 30th, 2020, the village's net pension liability from IMRF that's reported in your statement of net position is about $46,000. And there's additional details on that IMRF plan included within the notes. It's actually note 9 of the financial statements if you want some additional details on that. So those were really the only 2 items that I was going to highlight within the statements. I'll just pause there for a moment to see if anyone has any additional questions regarding the financial statements or anything that you'd like me to touch on before I move to the second document.
If you have any questions, or just physically raise your hand, we'll go from there. You're on.
Okay. All right. Seeing none, then in the second document that you have, this is our required communication to the board, and we provide here just sort of a summary of our responsibility when conducting the audit. We do indicate within the letter that we did not encounter any difficulties or disagreements with management during the audit. And we also highlight some significant accounting estimates and financial statement disclosures. Within the letter, we also note that there were a few immaterial adjustments that we agreed with management not to post during the audit, since they really have no significant impact to the financial statements. I'll just point out, though, as we do our work, we do accumulate those just to make sure that when we're done, we don't get into a scenario where we could have, accumulated 20 different journal entries that didn't get posted that could be, combined together to have a material impact. So we accumulate those, we report them, but if in fact in this situation, like what we have is no material impact, we just move on and not post those. For some, really the key point of this letter is where we discuss any internal control related deficiencies that we note during the audit. We do only have 2 such comments for this year. The first one is a recommendation that the village implement a fraud risk assessment process to enhance its internal control structure. This generally would involve a brainstorming type session where management and at least one board representative would look at the potential for fraud to occur in various areas of your operations, and then just evaluate whether or not you feel that there are sufficient controls there to mitigate those risks. The second comment is a recommendation that the village adopt formal IT security and disaster recovery policies. With the increasing reliance on IT and growing cybersecurity issues, all entities do need to consider these types of policies. Many of you probably saw the recent reports about a couple agencies within the federal government being hacked. So really governments of all sizes we're seeing are being targeted in those types of attacks, and none are exempt. So we do encourage you to stay focused on cybersecurity. We do have some resources that we can provide to help if you're interested and have that need. So just wanted to make that aware. But then lastly, I'll just briefly note that we do talk in the remainder of the document about some upcoming new accounting standards that will be impacting the village in coming years here. So the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, or GASB, has definitely been very active lately. The letter does identify several new standards that will impact the village over the next few years. Those begin on page 5 of that letter. And as alluded to earlier, because of COVID this year, GASB did delay 2 standards that would have impacted the 2020 audit. So those will take effect for next year. So just wanted to bring those to your attention. One will, based on my discussions with Kelly recently, it won't have very significant impact. The other one would have a little more relevance to you. So we'll continue to work with Kelly on those as we move forward. And again, with that, I'll just pause and see if there's any questions on this document. I'm happy to address those or provide any clarification. Mayor, yeah.
Just one comment to the board. Kelly is working with CSI, our IT people, on developing policy. Been on this granite for a while. It's mid, but it's on there to be done.
Very good. Any other questions or comments that I can help with?
Anything else, Scott? Just anything else, Scott?
Oh, that's it for me. So just thank you all again for your attention and time tonight, and hope everyone stays healthy and has a happy holiday season here.
Thank you, sir.
You too.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Now, participants, and he's gone. All right, having no public either on or in the house, we have no comments. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. John, it's got first, we need a second. Mary?
Trustees Priest,
Aye.
Colvin,
Aye.
Jaranowski, and Janowis. Motion carried.
Reports and discussion. We'll start with finance. John?
Not much to talk about because we just did the audit presentation. Just a friendly reminder that your budget requests are due on January the 11th. So please make sure you are filling out your budget requests. Unless Kelly has anything to add to that, I'm good.
Kelly?
Okay,
I don't, go ahead.
Maybe mute.
okay. We'll try it again. All right, okay. So most of the items are on the agenda further down, but just to keep everyone advised of the situation, today we had water billing. So all the credits have been applied to the water bills today. Those residents and businesses that do not have any type of bill on our system or very low, like a sewer bill, I issued their checks today. Townhomes, 2 associations had their checks. Apartments got their checks. So we're just waiting on one more association. So that project is almost done. So as the mayor reported before via email, that he's had a few people call and contact him to say thank you very much for what the mayor and board has done on the behalf for the COVID relief. So just to let you know, that's almost done. Having an early meeting in December, we do have a few more bills that did not make it to this bills payable report. So please watch your emails Wednesday, Thursday, the latest for yet another one. And I'll be asking approval to run a few checks for next week, Tuesday. And that's all I have.
Okay. Kathy, you have to turn that. Okay, we have someone new who is joining the team. Walter, could you identify yourself, please?
That was me, Jerry. I'm trying to see if I can get a better audio.
Okay. Well, you're in 2 places, whatever works for you then.
Well,
All right.
I think I just closed it out. I thought I did.
All right, Public Works, Wally.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, Public Works. How you doing, everyone? Yeah, we're continuing to meet with Mike, going over budget items and everything else. Kind of try to make up a different style form for the budget, easier for me to understand and read and stuff like that. So I prepared that. I sent a copy to the mayor on it, and it's just more of just the way I am. But like I said, Mike and I have been going over the budgets pretty much and see what we can, where we're at with it and everything. It's almost completed. We should have a final before the end of the month. I'll read Mike's letter here, okay, which is listed below our Public Works Superintendent, Mike DePaul. Listed below are items the Public Works Department is working on and or completed over the last few weeks. We have all of our snow equipment, removal equipment checked over and ready to go. As I stated in my last report, we have a full complement of salt and liquid ready for the season. Due to the pandemic, we had a setback in getting a couple of light poles installed and one light had to be repaired. He's supposed to hear back from them this week on the install date. They're looking towards the end of this week. With the help of Mayor and Trustee Crease, I've been working on next year's budget for a while now. We are still waiting for a few things. If all goes well, we shall have our first draft completed by the end of the month. If you have any questions, contact Mike DePaul, and that's about it for that.
Okay, a couple comments regarding Public Works. All but one of our seasonals is gone. But the remaining seasonal is positive with COVID. I think it was middle of last week. So we are having Max, Joey exposed. He's home, he's gone. Max and Mike are alternating days at Public Works. Can't totally shut down, but will limit their exposure. Okay, moving on, no community events, no grade H club. So we're down to other, and it's back to rolling with discussion of driveway widening.
Okay. Well, when I was walking through the neighborhood, getting signatures for my candidacy, one resident stopped, and when I stopped at, he had a concern about a resident parking on the front lawn of his residence, okay, and he also installed gravel, okay, and he made a temporary pad for him to park his vehicle right on the front lawn, right in front of the front door and the sidewalk. Okay, I sent everybody a picture about this about a week or two ago. Got some more responses back, and it's just, I feel that, you know, in the past we have allowed driveway extensions or side drives, but they have been from the opposite side of the garage to the property line, or in other words, between two neighbors. That's what we've had. I believe we still do have one it's kind of different. It's a longer drive and it's set forth and it's just a parking space. But other than that, we don't have any other residents that are actually trying to make a parking space in the front yard. And I believe, you know, that really I think it wouldn't appear it doesn't make a good appearance for the village if we start having these residents put driveways or parking spots right in the front doors and completely pave the drive, pave a drive in front of their house. We talked with the mayor and in our discussion when we were talking about it, we do not have an ordinance that would restrict that. Okay. The only thing, and so we were saying, what would happen if this person applies for a permit? Okay. And whether we should allow other residents to actually do this again. So I'm asking your opinions on what you feel about having driveways that are extended into front yards and whether we should allow it to do it or come up with an ordinance to block it. So any comments from the board?
I think we should come up with an ordinance.
Okay.
Okay.
John?
I was just thinking, so is it mainly, I just wanted to, because we had talked about this, but I don't know if we had talked about it, everyone else talked to you about it, but are we talking about the issue being just the location, the materials, or like if he had done that with, say, asphalt and gotten the permit, would that be the problem?
The existing ordinance, John, requires that in order to park a vehicle, it must be on an improved surface, which is defined as either asphalt or concrete. So I think Wally's main concern is location.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Then, did that answer your question, John?
Yeah.
Okay. Jack, any comments?
I agree with Wally.
Jack, you guys heard Jack?
Yes.
Okay, so he said he agreed with Wally.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Let's do this, show of hands, should I pursue an emergency percentage board that would prohibit expanding driveways to, we'll get a better definition, but to the front yard? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, I will do that. All right? Any other comments on that topic or questions? All right, moving along. Madam Clerk.
Okay, Kelly, why don't you just tell them to come here?
Yep.
Okay.
We're admitting them now.
There they
Oh,
are.
there they are.
There they are.
Hi.
Okay, let's, Duberstein, you are muted. Need to unmute yourself if you want to talk.
Okay, we're in.
Glad you could make it. Just to bring you up to date, we'd already had the tax presentation or the audit presentation. We just finished discussion. Just to bring you up to date, I'll give you a brief summary, and then if you have something to say, we'll give you a chance. Wally's, can you hear me okay? Georgina?
No,
We got an awful echo.
something isn't right. We're not hearing you
Okay.
right.
All right, and Mary, go ahead.
I think if Kathy mutes her screen, that's where the echo's picking up, because I see you flashing the yellow around you and then her every time.
Yeah, you're coming through loud and clear.
Yeah,
Do we
but
mute
Kathy's,
All right, how's this?
better?
Better? Okay, it's all Kathy's fault. All right. Wally's point, and he sent you an email, was that he discovered, a neighbor pointed out to him that one of the driveways was expanding to the front yard.
Right. I
Okay.
saw a picture of it.
And what we talked about briefly is whether or not we should pursue an ordinance to prohibit that. They could expand to the outside of the garage towards the property line. A number of people have done that. But if we pursue an ordinance, it would prohibit them from moving to the front yard. Any comments or thoughts from the Dubersteins on that?
I don't
It's
know.
probably out there somewhere. What is it that they're putting there?
A parking space,
I'm sorry?
a parking space.
I know, but I mean, is it for cars or boats or?
Well, yeah, they had a car, they put gravel down and they had a car parked there until
So
I sent them, pardon me?
You're saying that they could put it somewhere else behind the garage or something?
No. Right now, our ordinance allows them to widen their driveway, our current ordinance, in any direction. If you're sitting in front, we'll take your house. You're out in the street looking at your house. You could expand your driveway under the current ordinance to the left towards your neighbors or to the right into your front yard. These individuals chose to go to the right into their front yard, and they put gravel down. They were sent a letter saying you cannot park a vehicle on unimproved surface. And they've been very understanding, very nice about it. The general feel of the board members that were here was that they don't like that idea of widening the driveway into the front yard. And right before you get on, we took a straw vote and they asked that I pursue an ordinance that would prohibit that.
So are they saying that it'd be okay if it went to the left instead of the right?
Correct. But in that particular housing, that street, it's, they only have about 6 feet to go to the left. They're very narrow lots. But I did offer them, when I spoke to the people, I said, look, you can park in the driveway apron. A number of people do that, or they can apply for a street parking permit.
Why is it okay to go to one direction, not the other?
Because one,
It'll depend on the orientation of the driveway to the house.
it kind of depends on the orientation. Jack, I'm passing on what Jack said. Jack is physically here. It depends on the orientation of the house. Generally, what we're looking, I think what we're looking to prevent is having them move it so it's in front of their front door on that side of the house into the front yard. If they go to the, once again, I'll use your house.
To the
If they
left.
went to the left of your garage, expanded your driveway to the left, that would still be acceptable.
Well, if they, oh, looking at our house from the street.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, because otherwise, yeah, to have it right in your front yard is really an eyesore.
Trashy.
Correct. Would you agree then that we should pursue an ordinance that would prohibit that?
Sure.
yeah, okay.
Okay, that's
we
that
gonna-
topic.
Are we gonna change it so that they can put it on the left, or are we not, we're just saying you can't do it at all?
No, 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 no. It just will not allow it to go into the front yard.
Okay, and because
Yeah,
you're,
you'll see the wording. It won't happen for a little bit. As
Okay.
long as you're on, let's back up a bit. George, anything on community events?
Only that I
Closer to
have
the
some
mic, please.
word out. I'm sorry. Nothing on the events per se, but just a note on the emergency management ordinance or whatever.
That's coming up.
I'm waiting. Huh?
I've got that under my mayor's report. And we
No,
can-
I understand that. I was just saying that there's stuff going out. I haven't received anything back. And with the COVID and the holidays, probably I won't be able to have anything until January,
Okay,
which is only a couple of weeks away anyway.
all right, I'll share what
But
I.
other than that, I have nothing.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. I'll share whatever I have when I get that far, and then we can decide which way to go. All right, Great
Okay.
Age Club, Georgianne?
before we get to that, I don't know if it belongs under finance or appropriations or wherever, but I would like to get quotes from more landscape companies than Landscape Concepts. I think that we can find one that'll do the same thing and not charge us so much.
Noted.
The Great Age Club, we lost one of our members. He had kidney failure, but he also had COVID. Ken Parrish. And we took a collection and taking some money from our budget, we're giving a donation to the Lake County Honor Flight. He was a very active veteran. And so that's what we're gonna do. We're still trying to do Zoom meetings, and we have a few people that are able to do that. But that's about it for now.
All right, thank you. George and Georgianne, because you weren't here for the intro, so we can kind of keep this thing without talking over each other. If you have something you want to say, raise your hand and I'll make sure you get called on. Okay? All right, the next in mayor's report, the first item is discussion of the mayor's.
No, you forgot me.
Oh, I skipped, I apologize, Matt.
Okay, I don't know if you guys can hear me. Monday, the 14th was the first day of filing election petitions. We had 4 petitions filed, and today we had 1 petition filed. Last day is Monday, December 21st at 5 p.m. We will have our January meeting will be a public hearing for special use for a home addition here in the village. So I'll be working with the family with all the requirements over the next month. That's all I have.
Okay, at this point, as far as petitions, I see you, Georgianne, I'll call you in a second. None of the new people that picked up or requested a petition have turned anything in or made an appointment with Kathy. Georgianne?
Oh, I just was wondering who the other one was. That John that turned in the petition?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure.
Might ask him about that.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Moving on. The mayor's budget email. I sent you a long. George, go ahead.
Yeah, I just was wondering, do we have enough, I guess we do, to have a lottery to determine the order of the petition or the order of the,
Names on the ballot,
yeah.
Kathy?
Okay, so Wally and Georgianne are in the simultaneous lottery. Mary is not, because she's running for the unexpired
Right,
2-year term. Georgianne and Wally are running for the 4-year term. So there will be only a lottery for Wally and Georgianne, but on Monday, the 21st, between 4 and 5, anybody who files between that hour, if there's more than one, then they'll be in the lottery also.
But that's for the last petition.
For the,
So it's Georgianne and Wally.
yeah.
John will be the third name he filed today. Okay?
No, oh, yes, yeah.
And I'm number 1. Okay.
Of course.
And John?
And number one, when Kathy's talking, can you mute yourself? Because her echo is going to yours now.
Okay, Kathy, don't talk anymore. All right. Now,
Not very nice.
let's try the mayor's budget email. It was in your packet. This is just an open time if you have any discussions about what I presented there as potential projects. And remember, they're potential. They'll be submitted for the budget, and then John and Mary and Kelly will get to hash it out once we find out revenue. But here's a chance to chit chat. Any comments or questions? Georgianne? Georgianne?
I'm trying to unmute. I know that Steve Zahner is coming next month to talk about the wells and various options. And I just would like to recommend that we ask Linda Soto to come. She knows the history of the water system from its inception. And I think that she would have an interesting perspective because nobody else here has ever started from the beginning to know the wells, how it's, the whole thing. So I just think that that might be a good addition to that discussion.
Okay. Any other comments about any of the other things on the list or anything at all?
Well,
Wally?
just that comment I mentioned earlier about the fact that I'm still working on that emergency management thing in January, and then depending on what I find out, we can determine whether we want to go a contractor route or not.
Okay. That's skipped ahead one subject. Any other questions or comments about the budget memo?
Oh, okay.
John?
Just the Cranberry Wood walkways. The 205,000 that you propose is inclusive of the actual development of the wooden walkways, correct? Or is that just for the study?
No,
Or the
no, that's development, building, installation, the whole ball of wax.
Okay.
Okay?
When you say so many feet, are you going along the path or across the path to the water?
No, these are to cross over the 2 wet spots. The one in the southwest corner near your home and the one along Hainesville Road. Vince Mosca and Hain Associates came out and made the proposal, checked the requirements, tested the soil, and these are his recommendations.
It's going along, it's covering the path in these places,
Yes.
is that right?
Yes, it's not a new path at all. It just goes over the current path and goes over the water. George?
Yeah, depending upon how the thing is constructed and what it's made out of and what kind of footings have been, according to the covenants, we may have to check with the Corps of Engineers before. doing it.
Understood and agreed, and that's part of the process.
Okay, just throwing that out.
Okay. Any other comments on the budget memo? All right, now the EOP plan, the Emergency Operations Plan. We don't have one. We had one years ago, but it's totally outdated and irrelevant to our current structure. I tried to work on it for a period of time. I was over my head. I asked George to take a look at it, and he did. And we came to an agreement at one point that it was kind of out of his wheelhouse too. I contacted GovHR, a business that we'd worked with before. They sent out, he's the ex-fire chief, I think from Mundelein. And we sat and talked, and he worked up a proposal. And I don't have the dollar figure right in front of me, but since then he's had
14K.
$14,000. And that was to put together an emergency operation plan for us. George and I have spoken since then, and he wants to give it another shot. And based on what he said earlier this evening, for a variety of reasons, he hasn't gotten the feedback yet. So I have no problem, if you're in agreement, to table this, let George find out what he can. If we can do it in-house and save 14K, no problem, if we can do it right.
Right.
Any questions on that topic? Wally?
Yeah, Jerry, I thought the reason we didn't update this was the fact that we went with Gray's Lakes plan. At some point, didn't Linda switch over to them and say,
Go ahead.
once he, what was his name? Our old,
Mike Benko?
was,
Yeah.
Mike Benko, right.
Yeah. Well, that was done a lot of years ago, and it did kind of incorporate Gray's Lake. And when we disbanded the committee, we are covered by Gray's Lake and Round Lake's Round Lake area. Excuse me, emergency management. But what it doesn't do, and this is what got my attention when we first looked at it, let's say we have another tornado.
Right.
What do we do locally how Linda had to deal with, we had fallen trees, damaged houses. How do we respond? So this was more of an in-house emergency plan that would be incorporating the other outside agencies. It's not that we're going to have a lot to do, but right now, let's say I'm in Michigan again and something goes wrong. Who's in charge? If we have a railroad accident out here, certainly the emergency services will respond, but what if the village has to do something? What do we do? So that was the impetus to relook at this.
Would it also include what we would recommend to the residents to do? Or are you looking at just at what the village
No,
responsibility is?
I'm looking for a more general guideline that would tell how the village, how the management would respond, and what we would tell the public would depend on the situation. So hopefully there'd be some guidelines included in that.
Okay.
I don't know whether this probably fits into this some way, this alternative to the CTY thing, Where does that stand right now?
Because, what was that called? Red. Code Red. It was another communication system like our CTY call, somewhat
Right.
like it. At this point, we've tabled it because we're down staff with various illnesses. We just didn't have the time here to put.
Are we running up against, like we did last year, the time to negotiate with or tell the CTY people that we want to go a different direction?
I'm sorry, George, you'll have to come in a little bit closer.
Oh, let me rephrase. When does the current contract with CTY terminate or up for renewal?
I think it might be this month. It might be up for renewal, but we can.
Because last year,
Kelly just informed me we can withdraw with a 30-day notice.
right, and I just didn't know what the end of that period was, because last year we didn't have enough time to do anything about it, so we had to postpone it for a year.
Okay,
So I
Kelly
was
just clarified for me that it's 30 days before the end of the contract. So we might be short again. So we might have to write it out another year. We didn't have the time. And the
Yeah,
people.
I'm not being critical. I'm just wondering what the timing was and whether we had enough time to do anything or not.
We did have the salesman out to talk to me and hear him out, but it just didn't proceed. All right, any other, so right now I'm leaving it as the EOP plan is not going to proceed through GovHR at this point. We'll wait on another report from George.
Okay.
Concerns or comments? All right. All right, the last topic for me is discussion of video gambling. I will reiterate what I said in the email. The owner of Mobile met with me in my office and explained things this way. Their money, their profit doesn't come mainly from fuel. It comes mainly from items sold within the store. So
Right.
it could be the beer, whatever they're selling within. And with the COVID, they've got less inside traffic, and we understand that. He understood that we had banned video gaming previously. He asked if we would reconsider it. And I said I would take it to the board for discussion. A couple pieces of information based on questions you sent me. One, if we were to approve video gaming, we can control the number of licenses that we allow from 0 to whatever number we choose. We could, and I think this addresses a question George Ann raised, we could, I believe, in an ordinance, allow it to exist only in existing businesses currently in town. It's a possibility. I'd have to clear that with Scott Puma. But I wanted to throw the concept out to you because I think each of you, except for Mary, was on the board when we said no to the idea of video gaming. Open for questions or comments. Georgianne.
I'd be in favor of it if it was only for existing businesses. The complaint that we had when we were first looking at it was how inconsistent the standalone video gaming places were as far as the atmosphere, the construction, whatever. And this would make it, it would take that part out of it. If you know, like Big Jack's has it and other already existing businesses have it. So if Mobile wanted it or whatever, whoever else, the new sandwich store, whatever, that they would be able to add it, but not have a standalone place that could be really ugly.
Yeah, I mean, we know what the existing businesses look like inside. that was the thing that we were concerned about last time, was that we have no control over how the inside would of a new business would operate. We could maybe address the outside, but my understanding was we had no control over how the inside looked. So again, just taking off what Georgianne said, I would maybe be amenable to existing businesses, especially now because of the impact on our businesses with COVID and the fact we've already spent some money of us giving back to the village and the water bills and the licenses and so forth. If we are approaching the idea of supporting our local businesses, and this would help them, stay afloat, so to speak, if we limit it to existing businesses, that might be appropriate.
Okay, before I call on anybody else, I think Mary asked the question of whether or not various gaming in towns around us had increased crime. I talked to Chief Perlini last week on the topic, and his knowledge, he said to the best of his knowledge, it had not. No increased crime or minimal increased crime in the neighborhoods. There wasn't, he just said it had a minor effect at most.
It might be interesting to check with Big Jacks just to see how it has helped their bottom line, as well as whether or not the traffic has been criminally oriented or not, just to see because they're not too far away, just see what having that capability has had an impact, or what kind of impact it's had on their business.
Trustee Crease, did you want to address that at all?
Who?
Oh, Wally.
Wally. You're muted, Wally. Okay.
Okay. No, well, I guess I might look kind of criminal, I guess, every once in a while, but it's actually like almost like a family oriented in there, okay? Because a lot of people will come in there, it'll be more of like on a Friday night or something. They would, this is from my experiences, okay, that I've been in there. And, Friday night they would go there, drop a few dollars, eat a sandwich or whatever, when they could outside and stuff like that. And there's really nothing, nobody gets up obnoxious. Nobody's really, how would you say it? Everybody's pretty much behaving themselves, And I haven't seen anybody, swear, cuss, or anything else like that because they're losing money and stuff like that. They understand that when they're going in there, they're never gonna, not all gonna win. What we were trying to what we did before was we said we couldn't control the insides of the businesses that would be coming in that would be new. And I look at it and I say, most of the times when they're put up, that's strictly what they want. All they want is a gaming machine, and that's about it, So, and kids aren't going to be going into those locations. So I don't know. I would be in favor of I guess all of it right now.
Georgianne?
When we were doing some sign or something over at Sign Central way back, I think when I was getting the sign made for the gathering place, what's the gal's brother? I think it's a.
Yeah.
What is
Well,
it? Is that that's not Jack?
Yeah.
Is that Jack?
Yeah. I think so.
What, Jennifer's brother? Anyway, whoever he is, he was raving about how well they were doing. This was before COVID, of course, but
Right.
he was saying it made a huge difference to them.
Okay. If we were to allow it, the split is that the owner gets 70% of the profit. The local village, us, would get 5%, and the state gets, that leaves 25%.
I had heard that we only get 1.5 because, or either we only get 1.5 or the state gets 1.5 of our 5%, so that we don't really get the total 5%, I don't think.
All right, well, I read 5, but if we get that far, we can verify. All right, other comments on it? Should we, well, let's see where you stand. Mary, your thoughts? Mary? No thoughts? John?
If it's within an existing business, I don't have a problem with it. It's my only concern would be, is an existing business, are we going to allow them to expand further to just make it like a back room situation?
Don't know. And now I can tell you that the Mobile bought the building directly west of them, the red brick. There are 2 red brick buildings on the west side. They purchased the one that's right next to it. Used to be the
Ingrid's.
And that could be a possible site. I can't say that's what they're planning. I don't know.
So then that would be a new, but then that would be a new build, a new, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but it wouldn't be an existing building. It wouldn't be part of their existing business. It would be something new.
It'd be theirs, but it would not be, I don't think there's any room inside the mobile station for machines. Wally?
Yeah, isn't there a restriction that the business can only have 5 machines?
I think it's just been up to 6.
Oh, okay. Okay,
But
so,
yes.
I mean, it's not gonna be where you're gonna have all the, like 10, 20 machines and stuff like, gaming machines inside there. It's only gonna be restricted to at least, 4 or 5 or whatever. Jack's has 5, I think. Matter of fact, Sammy's on Rollins Road. They, don't get me wrong, I'm not a big gambler, but I'm just saying I walked in there to get a sandwich, okay? And they put a room in on the backs, on the side, okay, separate, which it has to be. And they got 4 or 5 in there, so. But like I said, it's, most of it, it's a family oriented thing, not family oriented, but I should say people that are working people that go there just for a little relaxation.
Jack, anything?
No, but I don't think my opinion's changed.
And that is,
I'm not necessarily there.
okay, Jack is saying he's not necessarily in favor. I need some direction. Do I go to Ansel Glink and ask him to work up a potential ordinance?
Can you find out whether we can do it on existing buildings only?
It'd be one of the questions I'd ask him. Not existing buildings or existing businesses, Georgianne? Because mobile would probably open in the building next to the station.
'Tis a puzzlement.
Well, the thing would be, if I may, it's one thing if, again, citing the issue of if a new business came in, we had no control over the inside. If they were able to put it in where they are, or there's some reason that people would go to that business and then maybe look at the machines versus just going directly, like in a mobile's case, if they had a separate building altogether so that people wouldn't be getting gas or going into the store to get other things and then just happen to play the machines, but would go directly to another building with the machines in it. That might be a different story. I don't know.
Are you saying you don't like that?
Well, it moves in the direction of what we would encounter with a brand new business coming in, because then we have no way of knowing what they're going to put in the inside of that new building.
All right, John, I saw your hand. I'll get you in a second. George, let's say we granted mobile as is and said, inside their station, we would have no control of how they set that up in their station.
No, that's true. But at least you have an idea of what the inside of that building looks like. Whereas You know,
Okay.
I don't know.
John? John?
I was just thinking the same thing as George. Like, really, if it can be put in within an existing building, I don't know that we necessarily want a new building being put up just for the specific purpose of putting in gaming. I mean, there's plenty around where I just don't think it's necessary. If they're really that gung-ho about putting it into their current and existing business, fine. But to put up a new build for strictly that purpose, I don't know if that's a great idea for us.
What about a rehab of an existing building?
It's not an existing business.
Okay. All right. So obviously we don't have strong feelings one way or the other. Let me talk to Scott Puma about what restrictions we can and cannot do, and then get back to you before we go any further at all. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, that's fine.
I just wanted to ask Wally, how are the machines set up at Big Jack's? Have they set it up? I mean, have they sort of separated it from the rest of the place? It's such a teeny weeny place. I can't imagine.
Their dining room in the back, okay, the one in the back of it,
Oh, yeah, right. I forgot about it.
okay, they quartered off a section, okay, and so that you could only go to people 21 or older. They put plexiglass in between the machines and everything else. So like I said, and it's, somebody goes there and maybe their kids might be eating a hot dog. Well, this is before the COVID. We're eating a hot dog or something like that. The mother might go over there and drop, put some money in there, and just for, like I said, it's not they're not going to like the casinos like Potawatomi and dropping hundreds and thousands of dollars. It's more, whatever they can afford at that time, and might be a Friday afternoon,
I forgot about the new addition that they could put it in there. I was thinking about where the kitchen part is, and I couldn't imagine where things were going to fit.
Yeah.
All right, Jack.
Can we do something that's along the lines of fact finding? Maybe talk to a couple of local businesses in different communities, talk to a couple of communities and see what kind of feedback we get from them.
Jack is asking whether or not we can get feedback from other communities that have gaming places to see what their feedback is.
Yeah. And maybe even talk to the businesses.
I think I hear an ad hoc committee being formed. I'll talk to Scott, and then we don't have to jump on this real fast. We'll work the way through and make sure that you all have the answers that you want to have before it comes up to anything official. Okay?
Okay.
All right. End of my discussion.
I don't know where I saw this. I thought it was in your mayor's report. You were talking about the gun club,
Uh-huh.
and it said that the staff was reviewing the gun club.
We have a staff review committee as the first step in our special use permit. And that staff is Jack, myself, engineers, House Hill Levine, and Bob Springer of the building department. So they've submitted their original plans. We've all had some comments on it, and it's gone back to the gun club for their response. The next step is they'll send it back to the review team. We'll review it again. And if the review team is in agreement, then we'll give the gun club dates where they have to notify everybody within, is it 250 yards, Kathy, or?
250 feet.
Within 250 feet of the site, which would include the school. And after that, then there would be a public meeting, which would be interesting. But they have some significant things to respond to before we go that far. Public meeting would be before us as a zoning commission,
Okay.
okay?
Yes.
So that's,
Are you in a position now to just highlight some of the major concerns or issues?
the one that I recall, because I haven't looked at it in a while, but the one I recall is from House Hill Levine, is that they have presented a design of a berm. Nowhere in their presentation, and by presentation, it's just the papers they've given us on the design, have they said what they intend to use this for. They don't need a permit to build a berm, but they need a permit if they're going to put gun stations up there, how it's going to be used. And from the engineering side of it, that site will go over a number of clay drainage tiles that would have effect on our village drainage, on effect of some of Gray's Lake drainage that they have to address. So those are the two major things that I can recall.
I would think why build a berm if you're not going to have a gun
Well,
station?
You're right, that's what they want, but we need them to state it.
Yeah, right.
Okay? All right, now we're going on to various motions. Again, I will ask you if, I'll call for the motion. First one raises their hand will be the first, then we'll call for a second, and we'll go by raised hands, and then Kathy will call the roll. All right? Any other comments on anything to date? All right, I need a motion to accept the annual financial report for fiscal year ending April 30th, 2020. All right, I got John and George as second. Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese,
Aye.
Koval,
Aye.
Darrenowski,
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein,
Aye.
and Chanelwith. Motion carried.
And a motion to approve the annual treasurer's report for fiscal year ending April 30th, 2020. Got George first, John second.
Discussion.
Discussion?
Yes, you're talking about this thing that Kelly made?
Oh,
Georgianne, ask her again.
Yes, you're talking about the annual treasurer's report. I did have a couple of questions. I wanted to know, under expenditures, why we're paying the bank $55,000.
Do you have a page number?
No, it's just this
Oh,
one
just
page.
One page.
It's one page. And is it under Wintrust or State Bank of the Lakes? 55,571. That could have been the payoff in May of 2020, the payoff of the Public Works building loan.
Oh, okay. So this is what we've already done.
Yes.
Okay. I had another question. What are we giving Union Square $15,200 for? What did we give it to them for?
That probably was their water credit relief back in May, April, May.
Oh,
Because Union Square Townhomes, Cranberry Lake Townhomes, North and South, we have to give one check to the association.
okay. And just, as I mentioned before, I thought I see what we've spent on Landscape Concepts, 21,000 plus, and I just think that it'd be worth looking into seeing if we can get the same service for less.
Well, let's stay on topic here, but I noted that.
That was all.
All right, roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese,
Aye.
Koval,
Aye.
Darrenowski,
Aye.
and Georgianne Duberstein.
Aye.
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 And Chanelwith. Sorry.
You're off, that can't be. Okay, need a motion to approve the tax levy ordinance for the tax year 2020. Wally first. Mary second. Roll call or discussion?
Discussion. I had a few questions. On page 2 and page 5, they both have engineering services. And I don't understand why they're in two different places.
Probably.
Okay. On page 2 is under the general fund administration area. Comes out of engineering fees for the general. When you go to page 5, it's for streets. So if we need our engineering services to re-engineer something with a road, street, stuff like that, storm sewers, we separate it that way.
Okay. On page 3, what is community relations that we have $5,400+ in it?
I don't have the full current budget with me right now, but that's probably a compilation of
That's community relations.
community relations for 5,436. It could have been our Christmas party in there, and I think we budgeted $2,000.
That was 2,000.
2,000 for Christmas party. That's in that line item. I want to say tokens of recognition, sympathy, flowers, stuff like that.
Okay, I just was curious. And one other thing on page 4, what is Hainesville Coffee Inc.?
I put DD next to it. That's for the Dunkin' Donuts. When they built the agreement, was that we would help pay them in 2 installments. One was last year, one is this year. And we have not paid them their second installment in December yet because they have not provided our village with certain plans right now.
Yeah, built plans as part of our agreement.
Oh, okay, because all right, thank you. Those were the only things that I was.
Any other questions?
No, that'll do it. Thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Priest,
Aye.
Koval,
Aye.
Darrenowski,
Aye.
Georgine Duberstein,
Aye.
and Chanelwith.
Aye.
Motion carried. Ordinance number 20-12-304.
Need a motion to approve an ordinance adopting the annual tax levy for Cranberry Lake Special Service Area Number 1 of the Village of Hainesville. Georgianne and John. Discussion? Roll.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreis,
Aye.
Koval,
Aye.
Darrenowski,
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein,
Aye.
and Chanelwith.
Aye.
Motion carried. Ordinance number 20-12-305.
I need a motion to ratify the second $100 utility rebate to the residents and businesses of Hainesville. Wally, George. Discussion? As Billy said, that's already started going out. I got a wonderful thank you note from a resident today. Folks, we did good. It's a good point. Roll call, please.
Trustee George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreis,
Aye.
Koval,
Aye.
Darrenowski,
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein,
Aye.
and Chanelwith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Need a motion to approve an ordinance adopting by reference of the Lake County Watershed Development Ordinance. Georgianne, Mary, I'll give you a little explanation. In the past, Lake County, we have to do this. The last time we did it, I think, was 2015. They changed their ordinances and we have to adopt them. The major change in this one is that we basically say we'll do it from here on out. What it entails is any new development, if it has any effect on the watershed, they have to follow the Lake County ordinances. We don't have any watershed ordinances of our own. All right, any discussion? Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese,
Aye.
Koval,
Aye.
Darrenowski,
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein,
Aye.
and Chanelwith. Motion carried. Ordinance number 20-12-306.
Need a motion to approve an ordinance establishing regular meeting dates for 2021. George, John. Discussion? Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese,
Aye.
Koval,
Aye.
Darrenowski,
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein,
Aye.
and Chanelwith. Motion carried. Ordinance number 20-12-307.
Let's hope there are not too many more Zoom meetings.
We still got more to go. Yeah, but I agree with you. I need a motion to approve the waiving of liquor license and business license fees for 2021, 2022, our next fiscal year, in the amount of $13,500. Georgianne, John, discussion?
A good thing.
I'm sorry, George.
Very good
A
thing.
good thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing we did last year, and I think it's timely again. Any other comments? Okay, roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese,
Aye.
Koval,
Aye.
Darrenowski,
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein,
Aye.
and Chanelwith. Motion carried. Thank you.
Need a motion toward an ordinance amending water use rates in the village of Hainesville. Wally and Mary. This is totally out of our control. The two sewer districts in the county tell us this is what we're charging, and we can't do a darn thing about it. Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese,
Aye.
Koval,
Aye.
Darrenowski,
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein,
Aye.
and Chanelwith. Motion carried. Ordinance number 20-12-308.
Thank you for your patience. I know this has been tough to get through. Hopefully in the next meeting in January, we'll be able to come in here and meet. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's over. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Aye. Happy holidays.
Off we go.